myself or suffer the consequences. The wisdom of Elijah's inside of the conscientious, so I move with it.
I come to you this morning to talk to you about something that's very close to my heart. And I'm not here to be divisive. I'm not here to offend anyone. I'm here to speak to you as Geronimo talked to a general in the 1880s in the mountains not too far from here. When he met with him at a peace conference, a powwow, and said to him, he said, this morning, I want to speak to you the truth. And I want the truth to be like arrows that go out from my heart and my soul to your mind and your body. And I want each and every one of you to understand what I'm talking about this morning. You see, I'm very profoundly disturbed. I just left Tuskegee, where black folk are suffering. And I'm very disturbed when I go across this country and I cannot find the sensitivities and the concerns about black folk in America that I want to see. And the only minister that I have seen and heard from any place in this nation has been Dr. Price, that is telling you what you should be listening to. And I've spoken all over this country and all over the world representing presidents and governors. And he is the only minister I've run into so far that violate all the social norms that were exacted on black folk back in the 1790s as this country began to move into the evangelical movement. And they decided in the 1790s that it's now permissible to have a black preacher or to have black folk invest themselves into a religious experience. And the establishment in this country says, yes, we will let blacks have their own separate services, but we must pick the minister. We must pick a minister that is controllable. And we must tell him exactly what he's supposed to do. We will license the ministers. So by the 1720s, the entire establishment in this country has set up a system saying that any black minister in this country, he has an admonishment. He must teach black folk three things so that religion will become a control device to help us maintain the status quo on black folk in this country. He says every black minister who we select or we license, they must teach black folk. First of all, when you talk about the Bible, you talk about the master and the slave, you are talking about the white master on earth and the black slave. You must secondly teach black folk to be humble and obedient and accept their life lot and to be respectful and loyal to the white servant, to the white master. And lastly, you must teach black folk. You must teach black folk that they would get theirs in the hereafter, in pie in the sky. And that went into effect in the 1820s, and every black minister fell in line and did it. And it stayed like that until after the Civil War, when 119 blacks on October the 19th walked into St. Paul's Church, Baptist Church in Raleigh, North Carolina, and says, we can't take it anymore. As black folk, the suffering is too acute. And said we must at least have 40 acres and a mule or something. You cannot just turn us loose, free, and say we're free. And give us non-economic emancipation where we are pennilessly, poor, impoverished, sick, broken, busted, uneducated, ignorant, homeless, nothing, and say we are now free. And that is the only minister, Dr. Price, that I've heard that understands that you got an obligation in the ministry to go above and beyond that punishment put on black folk over 150 years ago. Now, in this area, maybe some of them don't like it. I don't care. I learned to respect a man at a distance, and I fell in love with him last night at dinner. And if I can ever be of any help to him in what he's trying to do, he's got my help and my institute's help. And so this morning, in the time that's been allotted to me, I want to talk to you, as I said, like Geronimo, but I want to be like the great European philosopher Diogenes, who walked through life when you only got two alternatives in life, to either go bankrupt or go to jail. That is called an underclass. And black people in America are systematically being forced into a permanent underclass. We will be a permanent underclass by the year 2013. And you got about a 2.5-year window left. If we don't do some very specific things and start to come up with some very cogent strategies, comprehensive strategies of doing some things that focus on that number one problem of redistributing the wealth and power back into the hands of black folk, you can hang it up. Don't worry anymore about retiring. After the next 2 or 3 years, don't worry anymore about going to college. It ain't gonna work. The doors are gonna slam shut on black folk. And what I'm telling you right now is we're gonna have to get it together fast. And to do it, you must first understand what I'm gonna be telling you this morning. And my speech is gonna be divided into 3 parts. I'm first gonna tell you about the problems of black America realistically. As Cochise and Geronimo said, I'm gonna give you the truth about the current state of black America, point 1. 2, I'm gonna analyze it for you. And 3, I'm gonna give you the solutions that we can do together to come out of it, okay? Now, we got a very serious problem in that monopoly game. We're gonna have a converging forces, social forces coming across this country. About 8 major forces are gonna push us into that understructure and that underclass position. And let me talk about 3 or 4 of them right quick. First thing, across this country, you're gonna have an increasing amount of conservatism. Now, I want you all to understand up front what conservatism means. So I don't care whoever uses that word, you know what it means. Conservatism is a new code word for anti-blackism, okay? Except now a conservative can stand right in your face and tell you and confess that he's a conservative, which means he is a racist and not tell you he's a racist. Racism, right now, we got racism all over America and I can't find one racist. And what I'm telling you right now, before my book even hit the market, I'd already predicted in my book that you're gonna have a cutback in welfare. I predicted in my book they're gonna catch people like in Texaco. And they just caught Avis discriminating against blacks in North Carolina, South Carolina. And they just caught Circuit City, Sam's, Walmart's. I knew they were gonna try to cut out the single mammoth districts. I knew they were gonna go after affirmative action. I knew there were gonna be riots all over this country that's coming. I talked about this a long time ago in the book because that's what conservatism means. Conservatism comes from the root word to conserve. To conserve means to hold on to what you've got, or those who ain't got, as my mother said in a 3rd grade education, you ain't gonna get. That's what conservatism means. And it means nothing else. It means maintain the status quo. It means use every device that you have to give the pretense that what you see is normal. And right now there's a conservative move in this country going from the White House across this land through the Congress that says whatever exists all over this nation and in Los Angeles is normal. They want you to believe that it's normal to go out in Los Angeles and see all the drug abuse and all the crime, all the poverty, and all the suffering of black folk lying and sleeping on the streets, drugged out, doped out. They want you to believe that's normal. That's what conservatism means, maintain the status quo. It also means to reinstitute white authority, white values. So you hear them talk about family values and all these other kind of things. And also white superiority. So when people start talking about they want to go back and be a conservative, you ask them, what are you trying to conserve? When my people don't own anything and you own 100%, what have I got to conserve? When you hear blacks going around screaming about they're a black conservative, you ask them, what are you conserving? Tell me one point in history that you found something that you want to conserve. Don't let people run that game on you about being a conservative. You tell them, fine, if you want to tell me what are you conserving? And when my people have never had anything, why would they want to be a conservative? So the biggest problem we're going to have is conservatism when it goes across this nation. And we as black folk got to understand, now it's not all whites that are conservatives. There is an element that's got everything that want to make that. It's the greed over need. They want to hold on to everything. And so, we're going to have a massive flow. Everybody's going to be talking about conservatism. You're going to see people politically switching, talking about they're moving to the far right. And what we have to do is understand that, and that's going to create major problems in this country. One, you're going to not only see an increasing amount of negative hostility towards black folk, every piece of research in the country tells us that, even from the Jewish organizations, that you're going to see more anti-blackness now and in the future than you've ever seen in the last 60 years since you left the civil rights movement. Two, you're going to see organizations all over the country now, paramilitary groups, Aryan groups, Vipers, Freeman, Skinhead, Baldhead, all kind of groups that are organizing and optimistically expecting and anticipating a major clash in this country between blacks and whites. We've had 28 states in the United States now to pass concealed weapons laws. That's specifically so some of the white contingency groups can carry weapons and arms at all times. That's why you have such a major thrust in the National Rifle Association. That's why they're controlling most of your politicians. That's why you have such a major anti-governmental effort in this country. You hear people say, we want to go back to states' rights. We are anti-government. We want to get rid of the federal government. It's not that they're against government. They know that in history, the only people who've ever saved black folk has been the government, twice, the federal government. And if you eliminate the federal government by downsizing the government, black folk no longer have an ally. And if a clash occurs, you got nobody to come to the rescue a third time to help you. You see, you were pulled out of slavery by the federal government. You were pulled out of Jim Crowism by the federal government. There are contingencies in the country that says the next time there won't be a federal government to pull blacks out. And you hear them talk about their anti-government. That's what they're talking about. They're not against government. And later on, you hear me tell about why they're not against government. Because you see, primary wealth in this country, the primary responsibility of government is to move wealth and to move power. And that's how the dominant society got its wealth and its power, by using government. But now they want to make sure black folk don't have access to it. That's why they're anti-affirmative action, but I'll get into all that a little later. But so the biggest thing, one of the biggest things that are going to drive us in this underclass structure will be conservatism. The second thing is that you're going to have an unending influx of immigrants into the country. And that's what Dr. Price is talking about. And nobody, no black politician, no black organization wants to deal with that issue. They will avoid it at all costs, even though in their hearts they know that's one of the biggest problems for black folk. We anticipate in the next 10 to 12 years, approximately 8 to 6 million Hispanics coming into the United States and 41 million Asians. You have been the majority minority for 400 years in this country. You have been the #2 population for 400 years. You're going to get kicked out of being #2. You're going to go down and become #4. Now, common sense, even a third grade education would tell you, if you didn't get anything when you were #2, you all jumped ahead of me, but anyway, you can guess what you're going to get when you become #4. And the worst part about it is as you descend and go down to #4, those other groups are going to go up. And as they go past you, you're going to have major racial clashes in this country. You're going to have fights all over this country between blacks and Hispanics, blacks and Asians, blacks and poor whites. And black folk cannot fight all these groups. Everybody can not always be against black folk. They know that.
All right. I had to let that. I had to let quite a bit of that play, family.
Yeah.
I had to let quite a bit of that play. I appreciate y'all joining us tonight. Appreciate y'all piling up in the chat. Peace to the family. Shout out to When Shit Gets Rare. How you doing tonight, beloved? Robbie La, I see you. Ricardo Lewis. What's going on, Zoe? I see you. Mama Love in the building. Shout out to Susan. Shout out to who else we got in the building? RH Crown 808 in the building. Part of my truth. Peace to y'all. Peace to y'all. So yeah, again, man, we here to continue this important conversation tonight. And I definitely had to let the master teacher open it up and set the tone. You know what I'm saying? Because when this conversation began, and let me hold on, first of all, welcome. Welcome to
Welcome.
Sincere Love to Godcast, man.
Hello,
You know
everybody.
how you doing tonight? How you doing tonight, Nice D girl? I'm ready to just get right up in this thing.
Yeah, I'm ready for it. I mean, we had to do this show. Like it was no giveaway around it. You know, we had to do this show. We have to talk about it. We have to hear from the chat. We want to know everyone's opinion about the conversation, right? Respectfully. We want to definitely be respectful, but we have to.
Absolutely.
It's been time. It's been time.
Absolutely. And it's been happening, you know what I'm saying, for quite some time now. I even had one of the brothers that I think is still in the chat, Vince. He lives over there in Europe somewhere, but he's from the Congo. Maybe when I first started broadcasting Sincere Love to Godcast, he was one of the first guests that I brought on to have this very conversation. It didn't go well because his service was janky and everything. So I think I took it down because it was too janky. Oh, what's up, baby girl? My daughter in the chat. Shout out to my baby girl in the chat.
That's right. Get this, feed him. Yeah.
Right. She started her new job this weekend, man. Shout out to Azalea.
Awesome.
Yeah. So let me contextualize this thing real quick, man. So again, this conversation has been happening for some time now. You see, Dr. Chloe Anderson was putting us on game way back in the 90s. You know what I'm saying? The new black media has been beating the drum about this issue for the longest, which is why, we began to start identifying ourselves as our own unique ethnic group. You know what I'm saying? Dr. Chloe Anderson referred to it as Native Blacks. You know what I'm saying? You had the ADOS movement, organization, hashtag, whatever you want to call that. You know what I'm saying? We know it got a little messy as far as that is concerned or whatever. But when it first came across my radar, it was about the lineage. It was about our unique ethnic group. You know what I'm saying? And even prior to that, you had another organization or another movement, which was DOAS, Descendants of American Slavery. And you know what I'm saying? So we've been trying to codify ourselves and figure out the best way to go about identifying ourselves so that we don't get lumped in with all these other groups, so that we could go about making our unique justice claim toward the American government.
Right.
And so along the way, a lot of people have been getting their feelings hurt by us doing that, because a lot of people have been benefiting off of us not doing that, off of the fact that we haven't identified ourselves exclusively, and the fact that we've been wanting to lump ourselves in with everybody else and hold hands with everybody else and include everybody and what we're supposed to get, because we see
ourselves.
Indeed, because we see ourselves as being one with everybody, especially other brothers and sisters from the diaspora. You know what I'm saying? But even not even just them, the Asians, the Hispanics, you know what I'm saying? The poor whites, we had our cape on for everybody. You know what I'm saying? And so now we just got to the point where we figure out, listen, this is not working for us for a number of reasons. And the main reason is because a lot of these very same groups that we cater for have anti-foundational Black American sentiments within their culture.
Yes.
And so the conversation started on Twitter, and the topic of the conversation was, how does immigration benefit Black people? How does immigration benefit foundational Black Americans specifically? That was the question that somebody started the room with, and Tariq came in there, and that room ended up, I think, breaking the Twitter space record. They had like over 20-something thousand people in there for like 15, 16 hours straight, going back and forth on this subject. And then that turned into all types of spaces all over Twitter over the past week. These conversations that's been happening. And even on Clubhouse and Instagram and all other platforms now, it done spilled over. Right? But again, the original topic was how does immigration benefit foundational Black Americans? So it wasn't a shot at Africans. It wasn't a shot at Caribbeans. It wasn't really a shot at nobody. It was a question that was posed that nobody could answer. Nobody has yet to answer. I've been in these spaces all week listening to hours and hours of these conversations. I have not heard not one tangible benefit that foundational Black Americans receive from immigration policies as they currently are in America.
Right. I think that what we did here was a lot of deflection, and then we had a lot of projection, right? And it was several groups within the African diaspora pretty much basically inserting themselves in a way. Specifically, I'll say in larger numbers were the Nigerian brothers and sisters. They felt that as if it was a personal attack on them. And the topic of the space was, how does immigration benefit foundational Black Americans? It never said, how does Nigerians or people in the African diaspora benefit foundational Black Americans, right? So it was specific to immigration and immigration policies that we vote for, actually put into place, right? In the first place in the 60s. So the question was, how does immigration benefit foundational Black Americans? And people literally switched that around and internalized it some way and made it about themselves.
Right. Especially Africans and especially Nigerians. You know what I'm saying? We're not here to really single nobody out, but they kind of singled themselves out. They made it about them. Somehow it turned around to, oh, y'all niggas is hating on Nigerians because we more educated than y'all, because we work harder than y'all, and all of this, like she said, all of this projectory shit. But if that's even a word, there was a lot of projection going on.
We were called porch monkeys, like.
It turned into a lot of name calling. It turned into a lot of non-constructive bullshit. And I will say that was taking place on both sides, because even some of the FBAs was going back and forth with the poverty comparisons, and we better than y'all because of this, and talking about who getting their ass whooped the worst by our open enemy. You know what I'm saying? Now that was some bullshit. That was non-constructive. That never what this was about. You know what I'm saying? But those are just the lower level people that came and added their 2 cents to the conversation. You know what I'm saying? But even to contextualize it even more, the reason why the question was being asked in the first place is because, again, we got this election cycle coming up. The Democrats is trying to run game to keep Black people on this political treadmill, and they're trying to use the voting rights issue as being something that we need to go out and vote for. We need to make sure that they get reelected because our voting rights are somehow being threatened. And a lot of people have been saying, well, our voting rights are fine. We don't have no problem getting to the polls if that's what we choose to do. So the Democrats are trying to change these voting laws so that make it easier for immigrants and illegals to be able to vote. And we see this happening around the country. It already took place in New York, where all you got to do is be in New York for 30 days. You ain't got to have no green card. You ain't got no paperwork or nothing. If you're in New York for 30 days, you can vote. You know what I'm saying? So these policies are really there to benefit other people, because the Democrats need to replace us as their voting base. And so we peep game on that. And so we've been saying, yo, we ain't here for no immigration. We're not here for no immigration. That's not our issue.
Nope.
And so that's the reason why the question was posed in the first place. But again, a lot of Africans, some of the Caribbeans, but mostly Nigerians made it about them. And so, brother say you got to add some input. Put your comments, whatever you got to say, put your comments in the chat. You know what I'm saying? And we'll respond accordingly. But again, as we get further into the broadcast, I may drop the link to bring some of y'all on if y'all got something to say.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But for now, if you got any questions or comments or whatever, just put it in the chat. All right, brother?
I guess for me, the whole thing is, no other group there's no issue with any other group defining themselves. When you're even talking about, in this space where we're all Black, right? We're defining ourselves as a unique, our own ethnic group. So you have other groups who, I don't see them getting mad if, say, a Jamaican, right, says that they're Jamaican or even Jamaican American. right? Now they're telling us, you guys are African. You guys don't want to be African. And, well, no, we haven't been in Africa for over 500 years, some even longer, right? A lot of us were already here in the Americas before there was an America, and even if you give them historical, facts and books to read, etc., they're like, no, you're not African. But you don't get mad at, say, a Caribbean person saying that they're West Indian. Because what do they
Right.
define themselves? We're West Indies. There's no problem with that. You don't point at them and say, no, you're not West Indies, you're African.
Right. Right. And you don't tell them that they're being divisive.
No.
They're not told that they're being divisive when they waving their Haitian flags, they Trinidadian flags, they or whichever West African country, East African country they might come from. When they waving their flags, when they having their parades and their carnivals and so on and so forth, nobody is upset. Black Americans for sure ain't upset. You know what I'm saying? I'll be at Carnival turning up with y'all.
Man.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I grew up. I'm from New York, man. I grew up around a lot of West Indians. I grew up around a lot of Puerto Ricans, a lot of Dominicans, and for the most part, we had a certain commonality. You know what I'm saying? In New York, I don't know about other places, but for the most part, there was a separation there, though. Don't get it twisted, because they do have their own little neighborhoods and their own little enclaves where they're just to themselves. They do business with each other. You know what I'm saying? They got their own community separate from ours. And we never even looked at that as being a problem. You know what I'm saying? But a lot of times we weren't even aware that there were anti-Black American sentiments within those communities and within those little enclaves. We didn't realize that we were being excluded because we didn't see no problem with, okay, you know what I'm saying? Jamaicans is linking up. You know what I'm saying? All right, that's cool. You know what I'm saying? But now when Black people are saying, wait, well, hold up. We got our own culture. We have a unique culture. You know what I'm saying? And we have a unique history. And we've been on this soil, like she said, at least 500 years, some of us even longer. And that's another part of the conversation where a lot of people are trying to deny the fact that there were already Black people here on this soil before the transatlantic slave trade. And that's just a fact. People have to learn history. People have to go and study history. And I really don't understand why that part is so hard for people to wrap their head around, because everywhere you go on this planet, Black people were there first.
Right.
If you go to Asia and look at the indigenous people,
Right.
Runoko Rashidi has been around this world showing us what the indigenous people look like on every continent. They look just like us right here on this call.
Right.
Dark-skinned people with big noses and nappy afros on their head. Right. If you go to Europe, the indigenous people in Britain and Scotland and Ireland, all of these places, the original people there were dark-skinned Black people. The Aborigines over in Australia. Everywhere you go, the further you go back, the darker the people get. So why is it so hard to believe that it would be any different here? We understand.
Why is it divisive? Why is it considered divisive? The outside of us, they know, and I think that it's a cop-out to say that they don't know, right? Because these are the same people who are telling us how educated they are, right? The very thing that they were throwing out was how educated they are. They can quickly tell you certain histories that they want to throw out. I find it very hard to believe that they don't know this. I feel like it's not an attack, right? It's just us saying we have to look out for ourselves. In the beginning of this show, you guys heard our elder, our master teacher, Dr. Claude Anderson, and what he said. We're the minority. At that point, and this is in the 90s, we were number 2. I believe we probably under 4 at this point. He said 4. I think it's beyond that at this point. So why aren't we able to say, wait a minute, we have to do some things? Because at the end of the day, when you're talking about how much the Black family is worth, right? We're worth nothing. $24,000 a family compared to, white people, and then after white people, Asians, and then after Asians, you're going to have the Hispanic community, and then we're still at the bottom after voting for policies that specifically benefit you and not ourselves.
Right.
That's selfish.
Right. And so I'm trying not to be all over the place,
Right.
but but there was so much that was said over the past week, and there's so many areas of this conversation that need to be covered. So y'all gotta forgive me if I'm kind of jumping all over the place with it. Somebody said, "What is the date of this talk? Posh for comedy." I'm not sure what your question
Friday.
is.
I want to say it's Friday. I think the Twitter space is either Thursday or Friday is when it started.
I think it was before that.
The big one though.
Yeah, that was
the
like
12-hour
Wednesday.
One?
Yeah.
Maybe Wednesday? Okay.
That was like Wednesday, maybe Thursday, but I think it started Wednesday evening and didn't end till Thursday morning type shit.
Yeah.
For real. That like I said, that I think that was the biggest Twitter space, period. Because the next day, when Tariq was hosting one of his spaces, I saw the founder of Twitter Spaces in there hanging out, listening into the conversation. There was all types of media people, international media people, national media people that was listening in on these conversations because they're trying to figure out, damn, what the hell is going on? What conversations are they having that they got 20,000 people tuning in, listening?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I think it was important for this to happen because a lot of people on the foundational Black American side of the things still have not realized what we're up against when it comes to this, and really haven't understood the necessity for why it is that we're doing what we're doing as far as identifying ourselves as a unique ethnic group. Right. You know what I'm saying? And so now more people are starting to get an understanding on both sides. And I want to give a shout out to South Africa.
Yeah.
Everybody that I heard, not everybody, but majority of the people that I heard speak that were from South Africa were on code. The South Africans are going through something similar in their country. They're being flooded with immigrants, so-called immigrants, even though these borders, whatever. But they're being flooded with people from Nigeria and people from Zimbabwe coming into South Africa, eating up all the resources that are there that the South Africans had to fight to get out of apartheid and all this shit to get the little bit of shit that they got, because they still under the thumb of white supremacy over there. Don't get that twisted, even though they're the majority. You know what I'm saying? They're still under the thumb of white supremacy. And the meager resources that they have managed to accumulate from their fight over there is being sucked up by the Nigerians and the Zimbabwean people from Zimbabwe that have been coming into South Africa with the same type of attitudes.
Right.
The same type of attitudes that they bring over here, that tribalism.
Right. And calling them xenophobic.
Yeah, calling the South Africans xenophobic because they're trying to get shit right for themselves and saying, wait a minute, y'all need to stay back home, get shit together back home while we get shit together over here, and then we can link up. Right. And that's all we're trying to say. Like, we got to get our own shit together. We got to get our show together here in America, and then we could take the show on the road. We've been putting the cart before the horse. We try to take the show on the road when we ain't got nothing. We ain't got nothing for ourselves. We ain't got nothing for ourselves. The same position that we was in, and after the Civil War, as far as wealth and resources and all that, we have not moved. We have not moved. We still don't own anything of any significance in this country that we built. You know what I'm saying? And meanwhile, we're trying to carry the weight of all of these other groups
and share what we don't have.
Exactly. Exactly. And let's stay here so we don't jump too far all over the place. Let's stay here about how foundational Black Americans have been fighting for all of these other groups and caping for all of these other groups, not just Africans, but including Africans. That's the thing that needs to be very, 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 very clear about this whole conversation, because I'm seeing a lot of denial of this fact. None of y'all will be allowed to come into this country in large numbers if it was not for foundational Black Americans fighting for y'all to have that right. The 14th Amendment was the first thing that gave y'all the ability to begin to migrate over here and start to try to create a better life for yourselves.
But also to get on code with us. It wasn't just for you guys to come over here and have a better life for yourself or make a better life for yourself. It was to come over here and get on code with your brothers as you say, when it's
That's the
convenient.
reason why.
Right?
That's the reason why we were fighting for it. That's what
Exactly.
we had in mind, because the European colonizers over here started to flood us with European immigrants
Mhm.
first. They were
Mhm.
bringing over the Irish, allowing them to assimilate into whiteness, bringing over the Italians, allowing them to assimilate into whiteness. Even the Jews and all of these other European groups were being flooded on top of us and being allowed to assimilate into whiteness so that they could have the numbers to maintain their dominance.
Exactly.
Right. And so when we started our civil rights movements, number one and number two, we were trying to get the right for Africans and Caribbeans to be able to come over here so that we could have reinforcements.
Right.
So that we could have more numbers and more people who would be on code with us. And we even looked out toward people who were being marginalized and beat down upon in Asian countries.
Yep.
And we fought for them to have the right to come over here. I posted something the other day. You can talk while I'm pulling some stuff up. I'm gonna pull up.
Basically, we fought for everybody to come over here, and they, it was also this distinction. Why aren't you guys, talking about the Mexicans? They're there in large numbers. Well, we're talking about everybody. You made it about you.
Right.
Read the title. This isn't for one specific group or one specific continent. This is for everyone. How does it benefit us? Because everyone has benefited from it, but us. Think about in the 60s, even early 70s. We had a bunch of black businesses. I can even remember growing up in the 80s was my era, and black people had, their houses, were like, what do you call those, farmers markets? That's where we would buy some of our fresh, our greens and corn and stuff like that. We had people coming to the house with a big old in a van or a truck selling meat and stuff like that. To me, that was a black business, whether it was a business or not. All to have basically Asians come over, right? And everything that we were building at the time is now gone because of those very policies.
Right.
Here we go.
Right. Mama Love said we are the most certainly one of the most accepting people in the world. We love everybody to our detriment. Yeah. And I wouldn't even say one of the most. We are absolutely the most accepting people, even when it comes to white folks. We accept everybody. The Arabs are allowed to come over. The thing about it is, if we weren't, which a lot of people have been claiming, if we weren't so accepting of everybody, why is it that everybody comes over here? They come to our communities to set up their businesses and so forth.
Exactly.
Everybody that comes over here,
all of them,
they extract the resources from our communities because they understand that we're disorganized, that we're disenfranchised, and that we're just a consumer class.
Right.
We don't produce anything. You know what I'm saying? And so we go right to y'all stores, we shop with y'all, we spend money with y'all, no problem. We might rag on y'all. We might crack some jokes on y'all when y'all come over here. You know what I'm saying? Looking a little crazy because that's another thing. Foundational Black Americans, we are the standard when it comes to swag.
Yeah.
We set the swag for the whole planet. We set the style for the whole planet. Whatever we consider cool is what becomes cool everywhere.
Everybody.
So a lot of people come over from these other communities, from these other places. They have a different culture. They're not really, they gear ain't right and so on and so forth. And yeah, we might crack jokes on y'all, but that's about it. We still got love for y'all. We crack jokes on each other. Can't nobody come outside looking crazy.
Right.
Without getting snapped on. But it seems like y'all hold on to that shit for life. Y'all take that shit very personal, and you try to make it seem like that's some form of discrimination. And Black people are the real racists because we cracked some jokes on y'all when y'all came over here as kids and y'all ain't know how to dress.
I think that's the only thing that they have to stand on. So they're just going to run it because if you tell somebody the same thing over and over and try to drill them in your head, maybe they'll start to believe it. So they're just repeating that and hoping that it'll stick, throwing shit to wall, hoping that it's going to stick. No, that's not it.
Right. And so I'm just putting that up there. That was a post that I put up the other day from a news article where Black Americans urge admission of Indo-Chinese refugees. Right. And so y'all could go look that story up. It's too small to read the print on here, but y'all could go look that story up if you do care to know what that was about, right? But there was more. Let me go to the source material, because there's actually an article that I do want to read a little bit of for y'all inside the source materials.
It just goes back to show, the loyalty that we've had for everyone. And then when we're saying, what about us? Right? And we're not saying leave. We're not even saying anything of those things. We're
Right,
saying just hold. Don't interfere with our political process. Right? Do not come here
right,
to undermine our progress either. That's all we're saying.
right. I can't even find the group. Hold on. But
Me
yeah,
either.
that was another important thing that we need to note, because a lot of people are making it seem like that we're saying that y'all can't come over here, and those of y'all that's over here, y'all need to go back home. Nobody never said that.
Nope.
And so that's the next part that we'll get to. Right now, we're gonna try to stick to the part where we have been caping for everybody. We have been fighting for everybody to get over here, and then we'll get into debunking some of the false narratives that they try to turn the conversation into. We'll get to that in a second, because there was a lot of that shit going on. What's the name of our group? Sincere.
I'm going to put it in there now. I think I know what you're talking about.
The
So
article, the article that shows when Black Americans was lining up to go fight for the Ethiopians.
that's exactly what I knew you were talking about. So I'm sending it right now because it was
Yeah.
way up. Yeah, so I'm sending it right
I
now.
can't even find the group itself. So maybe if you
No,
share it right now, it'll come to the
yeah,
top.
there you go.
All right, there you go. Yeah, let me pull that up.
Y'all see this? Teamwork makes the dream work.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. By the way, family, make sure we appreciate y'all joining us tonight. Make sure that y'all hit the like button, hit the share button. Make sure that you are subscribed to this channel and click the notification bell so you can be reminded whenever we go live with new content. Bear with me one second. Bear with me one second. Let me get this together, because this is a real good example of what we're talking about. Is this the article?
Right. Yes, Harlem. Yeah, that's
You can
it.
see it. Okay.
I can
Okay.
kind of see it. Yeah.
Okay. Boom. Boom. This is a real good example of what we're talking about, how foundational Black Americans have gone out of their way to make sure that other groups are not being harmed or mistreated in any type of way. We've been standing for justice, period. We wasn't standing for no injustice, no matter where we saw it. That's just us. That's just how we've been getting down, and it has never been reciprocated, and that is the problem. No one can show me any examples of something like this happening in reverse.
Right.
We've been over here getting our ass kicked for 500 years, and ain't nobody from no other nations as a group. You could point out some individuals, you know what I'm saying? Because a lot of people try to
Right.
throw Marcus Garvey out there. A lot of people try to throw,
You
you
came
know,
here to get it popping up.
yeah, Kwame Nkrumah and Steve Biko, and shout out to them. All definitely warriors. But the thing is, you can't really have an alliance with an individual. You can only form an alliance with another group. And
Right.
as a group, nobody has never made moves like this for us. Harlem's forgotten fight to save Africa's last uncolonized nation from Mussolini. Right? And so check it out. I'm gonna read some of it. I'm not gonna read all of it, but just enough to give y'all the gist. Harlem, New York, the summer of 1935, years before the United States even allied with Europe to enter World War II. Large crowds of African Americans are gathered around a registration desk, volunteering to take on a fascist Italian dictator who was soon to become Hitler's fiercest collaborator. No doubt, Black Americans have enough battles of their own to fight every day on American soil in the midst of the Great Depression and an enduring Jim Crow era. But news has just come from Africa. The continent's only remaining nation to avoid colonization in Europe's scramble for Africa has just been invaded by Benito Mussolini. And more than 7,000 miles away, in a historic display of Pan-africanism and Black nationalism that took place across the United States, this was the Black American community drafting itself to defend the empire of Ethiopia when no one else would. Listen to me, man. Listen to me, man. This is in the middle of Jim Crow. We ain't got no army standing behind us. We ain't got all we got is just us saying, nah, that's fucked up. Those are brothers over there. We got to do something.
Let's go.
You got thousands of people lining up to draft themselves to go risk their lives to save Ethiopia, which was the last part of Africa that hadn't been colonized. And you hear how Ethiopians talk about foundational Black Americans right now?
They don't even consider themselves Black. They're not Black.
For real. For real. I ain't going to go through that right now, but I could pull up videos after video right now with Ethiopians talking about how they ain't Black and how the Negro problem ain't their problem and so on and so forth.
Recently, very recent, what was the Ethiopian prime minister just said that Black people here in America need to get over slavery and racism. Like, who are you to tell people in another country what to get over, and we're still going through it? We're still in the belly of the beast.
Right. I'm trying to read some of the comments. They learn how to make money off of Blacks. We created everything. What's that? 1+ billion spending power. Oh, yeah, trillion. You meant to say trillion.
Trillion. Yet we own nothing.
Ricardo chomping at the bit. This is a good topic, but we need third parties to rep their country or their background. We're not attacking anybody's country or background. You know what I'm saying? What we're talking about is the people from your community that's off code. That's it. The same way we talk about the people, foundational Black Americans who are off code. We don't give nobody a pass. We put our coons out there on the Summer Jam screen so everybody knows who they are. We don't allow them to hide and fester among us and undermine everybody else. We called them out. And so we're just doing the same thing across the board. That's all we're doing, because we are being directly undermined by people who come from Caribbean backgrounds and African backgrounds, amongst others. But the problem with the Caribbeans and the Africans is that they look like us.
Yep.
Right? So you have Caribbeans and Africans right now in the Congressional Black Caucus fighting for everybody else's issues except foundational Black Americans. And this is supposed to be an organization that's set up for us.
Right. Even their bogus HR 40 bill, which is for reparations, it's inclusive to other groups, which is a slap in the face as well. How are you going to include other groups in a bill for people that built this country, for the enslaved people that built this country? We're not saying that other groups do not have a claim for reparations. They just don't have that claim here, right? So it's a slap in the face for them, to be the faces of, Black America, and turn around and write a bill that's been around for years and they've gotten nowhere with it at all, and then to include other groups.
Right.
How does immigration benefit foundational Black Americans? We ask again.
Right. There is no benefit.
There's no
and
benefit.
Yes, as a race, we are all one. Right? We are all one. We all Black people. But as a culture and as an ethnic group, we have different backgrounds. The same way the Haitians have their own unique history. Jamaicans have their own unique history. Nigerians, they got 1,000 different ethnic groups in Nigeria alone.
Man, don't get me started.
So whenever we start talking about our thing, people say, well, we all one. Why y'all being divisive? We all one. But when people are repping Igbo and repping Yoruba and all of these other tribal ethnic groups, nobody says to them, we all one. Why y'all being divisive? Right. Nobody says that.
You know what they say? Well, it's a culture. The Yorubas have their own culture. Well, so do we. So why is that a problem with you? That's all we're saying.
Because the thing is, they're trying to erase us. They're telling us we don't have no culture.
They've said it.
At the same time, they copy everything that we do.
Right.
They speaking how we speak. They using the slang that we come up with. At the same time, telling us we don't got no culture.
Right.
We don't know our history. You know what I'm saying? They telling us they made up hip hop.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
The
whole swag, everything comes from us. All of the music, the way that everybody is dressing all over the planet, the way that y'all speaking, all of that shit comes from us. But y'all telling us we don't got no culture.
Right.
That shit is disrespectful.
Tell me yesterday, because of my profile picture, I have on a dashiki, and you have a dashiki on, and da da da. I was like, so that only further means that I've always y'all. Exactly. I've always showed respect and love for y'all. So what is your point? Like what message were you sending by saying that? You just proved the point.
So, right. That proves the point. And Black Americans, we have that track record. Mm-hmm. We were the ones that made dashikis fly across the whole world. Y'all was coming over here trying to put on suits, trying to assimilate into whiteness. We were the ones that was throwing up black fish, changing our names into African names. Y'all come over here, y'all change y'all names to Christopher. I live in Gwinnett County in Georgia. This is African hub. There's a lot of different immigrant groups around here, but there's a lot of Africans here. You know what I'm saying? And I cut all of these kids here. I watch these kids grow up and all of that shit. They be in my chair, I be like, yo, what's your name, little man? Oh, my name is Josh. My name is Christopher. My name is, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, that's not your name, man. What's your name? And they always have a tribal name, but they don't go by it because they're trying to sound more American, more Western. You know what I'm saying? Meanwhile, we over here changing our names. We don't even know if it's African or not. We just put in as some shit that we think is African.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? As long as it don't sound white. That's where you get your Shaniquas and all of that shit from. That y'all be talking shit about. Right. Y'all be talking shit about those names, but that's us psychologically tapping back into our ancestral memory. That's us refusing to assimilate. That's us refusing to be psychologically colonized. You know what I'm saying? And that's the major problem with most of these other people who are off code like this. They are psychologically colonized. And they view whiteness as godliness.
Hence why they have a white Jesus in the middle of, Nigeria. That huge statue of a white Jesus out there. A Caucasian man.
They telling us we need to stop complaining and we need to just work hard and all of this shit, because to them, this is the land of milk and honey. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? They telling us that we akatas and we baby mamas and criminals and thugs and all of this shit.
Oh, yeah.
As if they don't have the worst type of crimes taking place in their country, and that's the reason why they fleeing. Because at the same time, you telling us, oh, y'all don't understand how dangerous it is over here. You don't understand why people are leaving and coming over there. Y'all don't understand, what's happening over here with the women getting raped, the women getting kidnapped, children and all of these orphanages. The worst type of shit is happening over there. But they telling their kids, stay away from their kata because we drug dealers and baby mamas.
Right.
Like, what? What about the shit you was just running from? How are we worse than that?
Right. I mean, you have 5-year-old gangsters out there, rolling around with AK-47s. They 5-7 years old.
Right. But stay away from the Akatas, though.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And the thing about it is, they're just happy to be here. And so one of the main false narratives that was being pushed is that we're mad because they're coming over here taking our jobs, which nobody ever said. That was never one of our grievances. That was never one of our complaints whatsoever, right? But to that fact, there are certain industries and areas where they are systematically using people from different parts of the diaspora to replace foundational Black Americans, namely Hollywood.
Yep.
You see the influx of all of these, most damn near every Black actor that you see in mainstream Hollywood today are African or Caribbean or from somewhere else, right? And that's not just because they're better, they're more talented, they're more qualified. This is something that's taking place systematically. And I'm gonna get into why in a second. But you see it happening in the NFL. NFL was historically mainly dominated by foundational Black Americans. More and more, when you look on the back of those jerseys, you're seeing names that you can't even pronounce. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying that they all off code or they all coons or whatever the case may be. I'm not saying that that's the case. I got a couple of brothers that I know personally from Africa that played in the NFL and all of that. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to those brothers. And the NBA, you're seeing the same thing. A lot of Europeans, a lot of Africans they have programs in Africa training the kids how to play basketball, training the kids how to play football. This is something that's happening systematically in order to replace us. Why? Because they know that for them, they're just happy to be here. They're happy for the opportunity to be able to save their family. They're coming from war-torn areas and different things like that. They're not going to come over here and rock the boat. If we take this kid from this African village and bring him over here, train him how to play basketball and all that, make him a millionaire, he's a safe Negro. He's not going to start no protests. He's not going to start no uproars. He's not going to rock the boat whatsoever because he doesn't have our history. He doesn't have our justice claim. America doesn't owe him anything. America did him a favor by, you know what I'm saying, starting those training programs over there and paving the way for him to be able to get to the NBA. So he's just grateful. Giannis Antetokounmpo ain't never going to say shit about Black kids getting guns, about white supremacy whatsoever, about the wealth gap. That's no concern of his.
No, he's gonna say what hot.
You got too many people that come from our communities that they don't want to give all that money to, that they don't want to give those large platforms to because they don't know who's going to be, the next Kaepernick, or even more hardcore than Kaepernick. You know, even LeBron, people like LeBron who be speaking up. Back in the days, you had the Kareem Abduls and Jim Browns and people like that speaking up. You know, they've been broken over the years. I'll say that. But the young people, the youth, is where the energy is at. And so when you recruiting kids from the ghetto in America, who is the nicest basketball players there is, without no damn training, without no AAU programs, without no nothing, you get Allen Iversons and Michael Jordans and all these people coming out of our communities because that's just part of our culture. That's one of our sports. Like y'all play soccer and shit like that. We can't fuck with y'all on that. Y'all can't fuck with us in basketball. You know what I'm saying? That's just what it is. You know what I'm saying? But for them to give foundational Black Americans all those millions of dollars and all those large platforms, everybody ain't going to be Michael Jordan just keep their mouth shut.
Right. I was listening to one of the spaces actually today, and there was a Black. He said he was FBA, found FBA, and he's in the tech industry. So he said that he's the only Black person there, and so they were doing some hiring and stuff like that. So he and some other, he was talking to white people, I guess, in there because he's only Black, about hiring more diversity in the workplace. And he said that the HR person told him that they're only allowed to hire in diversity, which doesn't necessarily mean Black, by the way, 3.8% in a company has to be diverse. So if they have another person of color, they've already did it, right? So although he was the only Black-skinned person there, they've already hit their quota basically for the diversity, which was between 3.4 and 3.8. So not even 4% of the company has to be a person of color or Black. And that's a federal law, he was saying as well. At least that's what they told him in the industry that he's in.
Right. So yeah, you're right, Peter Ogun. Same thing in the music industry. If you look over the last, I'll say about 10 years, the majority of the people that's been on the top of the charts are people that come from these other places. You know what I'm saying?
By design.
And these things are being done systematically, y'all. That's not just happenstance. You know what I'm saying? And so if you want to talk about taking jobs and opportunities, that was never the complaint. But we do see the chess moves that are being made when it comes to certain industries. You know what I'm saying? But as far as talking about, oh, y'all just mad because we coming to take y'all jobs, nobody never said that. Nobody never said that.
Undermining. It's about the undermining that's going on.
Right.
Specifically, the undermining. It's
Right.
specifically the coon sector, period. You know what I'm saying? That the undermining and the coons, period. Well, that they go hand in hand, basically. And the
Going
and the
on, Jay
mammies,
Jones.
and the mammies, you know what I'm saying? You
Right.
know, because when you have that mammy, was that in Virginia that was just elected, who
Right.
just put out a statement a couple weeks ago talking about Black Americans need to get over racism as well, not just the Ethiopian dude, but you have one who's been in an elected seat here in America telling
Lieutenant
Black
Governor of Virginia.
Americans what we need to get over.
Lieutenant Governor of Virginia. I forgot her
Yeah.
name, but she's a Jamaican woman telling
Jamaican.
Black Americans we need to get over racism. Ain't no racism. You need to get over slavery and blah, blah, blah. And so
Right.
that's where the problem comes in at.
Right there.
It's not about y'all coming over here, taking no jobs, taking no opportunities. It's not about that. It's about because the white supremacists have set up coon vetting infrastructures
Mm.
in order to get y'all a certain quality of y'all over here and put y'all into these positions. Like I said, where I live at, Gwinnett County, Georgia, this is an African hub. The majority of the Africans that are here are connected politically back home. They're not just everyday run-of-the-mill citizens that just come from over there. These people are connected with diplomats and you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And so they have these programs. The LGBT got the program set up. They got some shit called the Underground Rainbow or the Rainbow Underground or something like that, where they take young kids that they say are being mistreated because of their sexuality in their home country, funnel them over here, fast track them into citizenship, raise them up by white people. They get adopted by white people and they get raised up by white people. And these are the people that you see working in the media. These are the people that you see in politics. You know what I'm saying? These are the people
Why
that
do
you
they have to
see.
be called the underground though? Like think about the you know what that was. You know
The
the
names that they
connection that
use.
they're talking.
They always attach everything to our history.
Yeah.
So the Underground Railroad and the Rainbow
Yes.
Coalition, which is something that Fred Hampton came up with. You know what I'm saying? So they always attach everything to our history because we're the only ones here that have a legitimate justice claim, have a legitimate grievance against the United States government. No one else really does because everyone else volunteered to come here.
Right.
And you have a place to go back to. And so if you volunteer to come here, you don't really have no claim against this government. You know what I'm saying? And so we're the only non-immigrants. We're the only ones that have the legitimate justice claim against them. And so everybody latches onto our issues and they use our phraseology and our names of our organizations and things that we come up with for them so that they can funnel the resources back into their community.
Start a nonprofit. You know, that's the hustle now. Start a nonprofit. That's the new hustle at this point.
Right. And so that's the problem, y'all. That's the problem, that too many of y'all are being funneled over here and put into spokesmen's positions and close to positions of power in order to undermine our progress and speak against our interests. You got Sheila Jackson Lee, who's I think Jamaican woman, one of the leaders in the Congressional Black Caucus, who dragging her ass about reparations and pushing nothing but immigration issue policies and LGBT policies and everything except for what we talking about. Tangibles for foundational Black Americans, starting with reparations.
Well, remember they just did last year. We showed you guys last week the poll that the Congressional Black Caucus did on Twitter, right? And they asked, "What do we want?" They had three things: voting rights, reparations, or the Floyd
justice. Yes.
Yeah, thing from Mr. Floyd, George Floyd bill. 57% said reparations, and they're still doing the opposite. So, what was the point of the poll? when you're not listening to the people that you want to keep voting for you and keeping you in office. You're not listening to the people. The people have spoken.
Right. Right. And so again, and this was not about attacking Africans. This was not
No,
about attacking Caribbeans.
no.
It wasn't even about attacking Hispanics.
Or
But
Asians.
but when it comes to immigration, Hispanics are a bigger problem for us than y'all.
Hmm. Especially in LA.
You know what I'm saying? So the
Hmm.
fact that Nigerians in particular took it so personal, it tells you something. Like hit dogs is hollering.
I was gonna say that, yes,
Hit
definitely.
dogs
And
is
they kept
hollering.
throwing the other ones under the bus. If you notice, they kept throwing the Hispanic people or even the Asians under the bus. And we're sitting here like, well, wait a minute. Since you bringing up the Asians, we're gonna bring them up because they're there in your homeland right now, draining the resources, and you have zero smoke for them.
Zero smoke. Zero smoke. They over there setting up shop. They got their own police stations. They got all these businesses. They done took
Beating
over a
your
couple of y'all
ass,
airports,
beating your
whoop,
ass.
whooping y'all ass, telling y'all can't come in their stores and their restaurants and shit. And y'all 95% of the goddamn population over there.
Population. Let's think about when COVID first happened, when they were going out door to door, putting people out of their properties and stuff, talking about they're the responsible for COVID when they knew they weren't. You know how they dogged them
In
out. They
China.
have a store out there that's literally called nigger with the hard R.
They was kicking y'all out the hotel rooms. Black Africans was all over the streets in China when COVID
Yes,
first hit.
yes,
But y'all don't got no smoke for them. Y'all got all the
right,
smoke for us.
right. Even when what's his name, Julian,
Malima.
yeah, remember he was trying to get the land back, trying to kick the foreigners, from their farmland. He was getting more pushback from the Africans there instead of them getting on code with him.
Exactly.
They have a problem with getting on code.
Exactly. Exactly. Then that's why I said psychologically they have been colonized.
Completely.
We all colonized. The
Yeah.
white supremacists run the planet. So we're not trying to, act like, we doing any better than y'all. But psychologically, we are not like that.
We're not the same. Mm-mm.
Psychologically, we continue to stand up and fight against this oppressive system. We're not just going along with it. Not only are y'all going along with it, y'all are to the point where y'all think this is the way it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
If
Hmm.
white mommy and daddy ain't running shit, y'all think it's just gonna fall apart. Y'all don't believe
Yeah.
that y'all are capable of building and maintaining your own society.
But it's the government.
So when somebody like you just said, Malima comes along and try to get rid of white mommy and daddy, y'all go on alert. Y'all protecting white mommy and daddy like, oh no, these are the ones who gave us the clean water and the medicine.
Right.
And you know what I'm saying?
Right.
How you gonna get rid of them? And we like, no, family, we getting these people out the paint. We can
Out
do for
all the way out the
ourselves.
paint. Hmm.
We are very much
Yeah.
capable of doing for ourselves. We don't
And
want them
when
in our mix.
period. And what he's saying is once we get rid of them, you guys get your land back. You get
Right.
to control your own resources once we get rid of them. And they're like, no, leave mommy and white mommy and daddy alone. It's weird.
Man, y'all got the richest soil on the planet,
Mhm.
all the world's natural resources right there under your feet. You know what I'm saying? All of the rubber, all of the gold, all of the diamond
Mhm.
mines, the oil,
Mhm.
the
I'm just saying.
coltan and
um,
cobalt and all of this shit.
I mean,
There's
you
no
can go
way in
on and on.
hell y'all not supposed to have a company that at least rivals Apple.
Right. And then
Apple
they
ain't shit
control
without
none
y'all.
of it. And they
Microsoft,
control all these resources. They control none of it. You guys control none of it. Yet you guys literally put the guns out on FBA over a simple question.
right, right,
Guns blazing over a question.
right. Yeah, man. What are some of the other false narratives that was being pushed in some of these rooms? Main one
So it
was
was the baby
they trying
mamas,
to
the
take our jobs.
gangbangers, drug addicts. We're not hard workers. We're just jealous of them. We're mad because we don't have a culture. Um, Basically, we're not. We didn't come from here. We're Africans. And we're like, yeah,
Yeah,
genetically, we're all African, but we have been so disconnected from Africa for over 500 years. A lot of our grandparents, great great grandparents, and stuff. I found grandparents, you guys, from the 1800s. I've been doing some digging, and guess what? My lineage has so far has been here and only here.
right.
But they don't be, but because I guess again we're defining who we are, they don't take that as wow, good job, we're happy for you guys. They find it threatening to them because again, if we stop voting for these policies, guess what? Y'all cousins ain't coming. That's gonna put a halt on whatever it is or whoever else they were trying to get here. You have some was like, well, I'm already a citizen, so I can't go anywhere. That's fine. We're not trying to send you back. And it was never about that, to be honest. It's never about that.
And so you had the one brother that was in one of the chat rooms that was from the Congo, and he was living in Pennsylvania,
Oh
and
God, yeah.
he was saying
Remember this.
because we keep on saying, listen, we're the reason why y'all allowed to come over here, and we're not saying that to say that y'all should be kissing our asses. We're saying that to debunk the myth that y'all keep putting out there that we're against y'all.
Right.
Y'all keep saying that we're xenophobic and we're anti-immigrant and this, that, and the third, but we're saying, well, we was the ones that made it possible for y'all to be here in
We're
the first
here.
place.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying?
You know
And
that.
so this guy said, well, y'all keep saying that y'all are the reasons that we're allowed to come over here, but what about the liberal white folks?
Yes.
The liberal white folks are more friendly to us than y'all, and they're the real reason why we're allowed to come over
Yeah.
here. And
Right.
I'm saying, oh my
And I felt
goodness.
like he said that with a straight face, which was the sad part. I literally feel like he believed it. He believed that in his soul, y'all.
And this is the thing. The liberal white folks, the reason why you see them pushing these immigration policies is because it benefits them. Not
Mm-hmm.
because it benefits y'all. They don't give a fuck about y'all. They see y'all the same way that they see us.
Mm-hmm.
But they understand that y'all niggas is off code.
Then
And so they understand that y'all could be used as a tool to
for them.
maintain the status quo. So they're pushing immigration policies because it is in their best benefit, because that's the way that they can keep beating the Republicans in the elections.
Mm-hmm. Right. But the thing is, they know that they need us.
Thank you.
The Democrats know that they need foundational Black Americans. That's why, they're trying to push this immigration BS anyway, because they know they, without, switching up things, to make it beneficial for immigrants to vote, they already lost because we are their base. So
Shout
they're
out to Jay
using these
Holland.
people.
Sorry.
That's
Shout out
what
to Jay Holland. Send us an invite, brother. I just got back on Clubhouse. I opened
today.
back up my Clubhouse account
Today.
because Shaka was supposed to have a room today on Clubhouse. I didn't get the notification. I set a reminder for it. I didn't get no notification, so I don't know if he didn't end up doing the room or what. But yeah, I'm back on Clubhouse now. So yeah, send us an invite, brother. We jump on that joint.
What they weren't trying to talk about, that I noticed, is when foundational Black Americans ask them, so why hasn't dual citizenship been opened up for us, or why haven't you guys, all the land that you guys have out there, why don't you designate a little area for us to come out there and build? Yeah, we're gonna build with y'all. All of a sudden they act like that's a welfare system. Now we want something. Now, oh,
Hey,
your land, give you guys land. Well, what's wrong with building together? This is what we've been doing. We've opened the floodgates for you. So why can't you guys reciprocate? They got offended.
Okay, Momo said Shaka did the room with Tiffany Haddish and others. Okay, we missed that. Did Tariq tune in? Did Tariq add on to that conversation as well? Momo transformation. And when shit gets rare, I thought you was ain't you in Canada? What country you in? Says she working an overnight shift. What country you in? Must be in the UK somewhere.
Yeah.
I thought she was in Canada.
Yeah, so when we're talking about building with them, which we've been trying to do, since the beginning, when we, our ancestors fought for the Civil Rights Act, it was about building. We still haven't built with y'all. Y'all let these other groups come over there, and there's no, major red tape for all these other groups to come there, right? But when Black Americans say, let's, build something, we want to come over there and do X, Y, and Z, you better come with a bag. There's all this red tape, all this paperwork that they have for you, but they let other groups come up there with no problem.
Word. The Asians ain't got that problem.
At all.
Asians ain't got to go through none of that red tape. The Asians is the new colonizers over there on the continent, and y'all are welcoming it. Not only are you not standing up to it, y'all are welcoming that shit.
And while they kicking your ass at the same time.
But if we say, hey, what about us? Let us get some dual citizenship and come over there and build with y'all. Like, what? I put up a video today. As a matter of fact, let me show you that one.
It hasn't happened yet.
This is what we get. Hold on. This is the type of shit we get.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Lord Jesus.
And again, this is just to open up the conversation. This is, to spark thought, right? This isn't to, bash anyone. It's nothing like that at all. We're just trying to make the point that we have been loyal to everyone.
Yeah, the reality of the situation is this. We understand that we all brothers and sisters and cousins and all of that. But right now, we have to secure our justice claim.
Future.
And we gotta get everybody else out the paint until we get our own shit together. You know what I'm saying? And at the same time, we advise y'all to do the same thing.
Right.
Because Great Britain and all that, they owe y'all in the Caribbean too. Y'all should be getting that shit together. Getting them Asians up out of Jamaica and all that shit.
Yeah.
Chinese over there running shit over there. Y'all 90% of the goddamn population. That should not be going down. Period. Y'all get y'all shit together where y'all at. We gonna get shit together where we at. Y'all already know, like she just said, we the blueprint. When it comes to how people stand up for their rights, wherever, they look to us. How did we do it? Because we are in the belly of the beast. We are under the most repressive regime that anybody has ever seen on this planet. And we got ourselves out of slavery, out of Jim Crow, up to where we at now. And we still fighting and we still progressing, and we gonna get everything that they owe.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And so y'all need to just be doing the same thing. And then we could come together and we can build, because we need to do trade internationally.
Exactly.
That's the advantage. That's the advantage that all of these other groups have over here. That's the reason why they have their little Chinas and little Koreas and little Italys and all of these communities. They building nations within the nation over here because they have a homeland where they can do international trade. And their code. The most importantly, they have a code. You know what I'm saying? Amongst themselves. They all get on the same anti-black code when it comes to us. They have their little differences and shit amongst each other. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's a lot of Europeans here too. One of the guys that work in the barbershop where I work at, he's from Bosnia. And now, a lot of them, like, I think that's like Eastern Europe or whatever the case may be, because there's a lot of Bosnians and like Lithuanians and Romanians and people from those type of countries. They came over here because they was having a civil war back home. They came over here as refugees, and they got their own little enclaves and shit like that. Everybody that come, like my man Masi, his whole clientele is all his people. You know what I'm saying? Ain't none of them gonna come in there and get a haircut from me or somebody else in the barbershop. They're gonna wait for their man, because that's the code. You know what I'm saying? They're gonna make sure he able to take care of his family. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And We be in the barbershop talking how we talking right now, and they don't have no problem with it.
Because
They don't feel uncomfortable because they're not attached to the history here either.
Right.
So they don't feel guilty. They're not the ones that enslaved us. They're not the ones that put us through Jim Crow and none of that shit. So when they hear us talking how we talking, they like, hey, shit, they right. Y'all should get what y'all deserve. You know what I'm saying? They ain't caping for us. I ain't saying they are friends, but they're not trying to get in the way. They're not trying to talk down. You know what I'm saying? It's none of that shit. Well, anyway, the point I was trying to make is a lot of them got little beefs amongst each other. The Bosnians don't like the Lithuanians and shit. Like if you mistake one for the other, they'll get offended. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
And so people saying, "Oh, we got to stop all of this bickering amongst each other." You know, we all the same. This is the reason why we can't get nowhere. Listen, these people got beefs amongst each other the same way. Little differences, ethnic differences, and cultural differences, and they don't get along, and they got little names that they call each other and all that shit the same way.
Yeah.
But that's not stopping them from making no progress.
Nope.
Because they get on code for the things that are important.
Right. I'll hear that if you call a Mexican an El Salvadorian or vice versa, oh yeah, same thing.
Yes.
I'll hear same thing. Mm-hmm.
Yes, mistake a Puerto Rican for a Dominican, they get highly offended.
Yeah.
Mistake a Jamaican for a Haitian, they get highly offended. You know what I'm saying?
And that was the thing too. Speaking of them, when Tariq did a live on Instagram, and it was a Haitian brother, young dude, probably maybe 28, 30. Anyway, he came on and he was like, first he started off like, you right. Because when I came here, I think he said he came here when he was like 12 or 13 years old, and he was like, I had that talk, when you get here, you do not talk to the Black Americans, blah, blah, blah. And so he was like, and he didn't, see us different. And then when he went to school, right, he tried to pull that whole, all the Black Americans were, ragging on me because of the way I dressed. And Tariq was like, dude, if you came to school with some church shoes on and socks, you're going to get it the same as a Black American is going to get it. Y'all can't keep holding on to childhood BS, because let's think about it. Even in your own culture, I'm sure you guys do the same thing too. But they're literally holding on, which I think is total BS. Some stuff from elementary school, you guys. Well, when my mom's dressed me like I was going to church to school. Okay, well, you gonna get bagged on, nigga. Where's your tough skin? So you mean to tell me you've carried that bullshit into your 30s?
Look, when I came down here and I seen that it was so many Africans, but mind you, my step pops is Nigerian. And so my little brothers, they half Nigerian, whatever you want to call that. They Black, you know what I'm saying? But I use my little brother's name to build my clientele. Every time I got somebody African in my chair, I would omit the fact that it was my step pops. And I would just say, I would be like, oh yeah, my pops from Africa. They be like, oh yeah, oh, you my brother. The minute I say, oh, my pops from Africa, oh, my brother. And they bring their whole family to come get their hair cut. They tell all their friends, everybody come get their hair cut from me because now I'm Nigerian. I never said I was Nigerian. I just said, yo, my pops from Africa. But I never specified that it was my step pops. Right. And so if anybody ever asks me, well, what's your name? I'll tell them my little brother's name. I'm like, oh, I'm Temi Dio. You know what I'm saying? They'll be like, oh, yeah. Temi Dio up in there. I'll be like, yeah, call me Sincere. You know what I mean? My name's Sincere. Everybody call me Sincere. But a lot of Africans, still to this day, that's some shit I did when I first came down here. But still to this day, a lot of my clients, they just think I'm Nigerian. You know what I'm saying?
Look,
and so
they do it too.
That's their code. You know what I'm saying? They understand code. They rock with each other. But the thing is this, down the street, not too far from us, there's an African barbershop. I ain't gonna say the name of the barbershop, whatever, but there's an African barbershop. Huh?
The hairlines.
This is the thing. They don't want to go there to get their hair cut. Hairline. They don't want to go there to get their hair cut. They want to get that foundational Black American swag. Boom. They need that in their life.
Cut. They don't want that damn bowl cut.
You know what I'm saying? So for me, for them, I'm like the best of both worlds. You know what I'm saying? Because I got the American swag and I'm Nigerian, quote unquote. You know what I'm saying? But this is what I was looking for a little bit earlier when we were saying the type of smoke we get when we talking about, getting land allocated to us or getting dual citizenship or anything like that. They don't got no problem with the Asians doing it, but this is what we get. Hold on.
Pay attention.
They're your brothers.
They're not our
and
brothers.
sisters.
They're not our brothers.
They are.
If you are born in America and have lived there for 300 years, you are no longer African. Those are Americans. We don't need them.
We don't need
They
them
were
to develop.
taken away, unfortunately, but they are Americans. We will resolve by ourselves. Yeah, we have the capacity, we have the will, we have the resolve. We don't need them. No.
I totally agree with it. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
Well, we don't want them here.
They're your brothers
They're not our
and
brothers.
sisters.
They're not our brothers.
They are.
If you are born in America and have lived there for 300 years, you are no longer African. Those are Americans. We don't need them.
We don't need
They
them
were
to develop.
taken away, unfortunately, but they are Americans. We will develop by ourselves. Yeah, we have the capacity.
And so one thing that he's right about is we are Americans. We are foundational Black Americans. This is our country. This is our country, number one, because we've been here longer than any other group. This is our country, number two, because we built this motherfucker.
Period.
We did that. Nobody else ain't do that. You know what I'm
The
saying?
resources were our ancestors. The resources for this country were us. We're the money.
Right.
And the builders.
Right.
At the same time.
Right. And say that because that's another false narrative is that we was just picking cotton, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
We was just picking cotton and tobacco and, working in the fields and shit.
Railroads, we're the
This whole
architects,
shit was us.
the original architects of this land, and other places as well. But we're just going to specifically talk about America. Everything let's be clear, it was illegal for Black people to patent anything. Our capturers didn't know how to do shit. They just took credit for every fucking thing.
Right. If they was able to build this shit on their own, they wouldn't have needed us.
No.
They wouldn't have had to enslave anybody if they had the capacity and the ability to do it on their own. They understood our history and exactly who we were.
Mm-hmm.
So they didn't just steal our labor, they stole our intellectual property as well.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Even if you look at most of the inventions that make our lives easier today, the majority of the things that we take for granted came from the minds of foundational Black Americans during slavery and Jim Crow and all of that. We was coming up with all these inventions when we were forced to be illiterate.
Right.
We were forced to speak a language that we weren't even allowed to see on paper.
Right. We were trying to make things easier for ourselves, right? So all these inventions, I believe, came from trying to make that labor easier. What can we do? What can we create to make this a little easier? Working from sun up to sundown, trying to hold up a lamp ain't working. I need to make, a light bulb, whatever the case may be. So it was about making our lives, better and making the work easier for ourselves. And then, of course, NASA said, wait a minute, I can patent this and make millions for generations to come.
Man.
Their children are still living off of it. Their grandchildren are still living off of that wealth.
Right. I hope we are being clear tonight, man. I know, you know what I'm saying, it could be a little bit all over the place, and there's just a lot to cover in general when it comes to this conversation. This is a very vast and nuanced conversation. I hope we're being very clear about what this is all about. This is something that we will continue to touch on, going forward, you know what I'm saying, as well. But we definitely wanted to dedicate, tonight's broadcast to this conversation in particular because it's just been in the forefront, like I said, over the past week.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? The hashtags have been trending on Twitter, African and African Americans and Secure the Tribe, and all the hashtags that revolve around this conversation have been trending on Twitter. And everybody's been holding spaces, having this conversation on both ends of the spectrum. You know what I'm saying? Some of it has been constructive. A lot of it has been non-constructive. Hopefully, we are bringing some constructive aspects to the conversation here on Sincere Love to Godcast. That is definitely our goal. You know what I'm saying? This is not about us taking shots at people in the diaspora, us saying that we're better than y'all, us saying, we're not saying none of that shit. We saying we are our own unique ethnic group. We have our own unique history, and we have our own unique grievance and justice claim with the United States government. And in order for us to get what we deserve, we cannot allow ourselves to be lumped in with all of y'all, because it's diluting the issue. It's diluting the issue. And that's the point. That's the overall point of this whole conversation. It ain't fuck y'all. It ain't, you know, kick rocks to y'all. None of that shit. You know what I mean? It's y'all gonna have to hold your own nuts right now.
I think that they know, though. I don't think that these are very educated people from HBCUs. That's what they threw at us. You know, I went to HBCU. You know, all this stuff. So I don't think it is that they don't know. I think that they're worried about maybe being excluded. But again, use our blueprint to get what's yours. Maybe we can guide you and help you get yours later, you know, by showing you the blueprint, you know, and showing you the steps that you need to take so you can get it from the people that owe you, because you deserve it too. But why would you want to come here and hinder what we're trying to do? Why would you want to run interference in what we're trying to do when for the last 60 years we've voted for policies to keep you here? It doesn't make sense that you guys will be that off code.
Right.
It's insulting, actually. It actually hurts my feelings. I'm just gonna keep it above. Like, it hurts my feelings that, you know, people that look exactly like me, I see me in them. You know, and they come over here and the things that they were saying, because again, and I think again, it did go on both sides, right? But I think that what was happening is FBAs were reacting to things that were being said. So it just got into a, you know, back and forth, you know, name calling match. But I'm sorry, if someone calls me a porch monkey, I'm going to react, especially if it's coming from the mouth of someone that looks just like me, especially if it comes from the mouth of a person that fled their country to come over here that my ancestors built, and you're running interference on our justice claim.
Right.
We got issues.
And I just want to say about the educational piece, because I agree with you, but I disagree with you also. You know what I'm saying? Some of them, I don't know, man. I'm not too sure. I'll just say I'm not too sure that they actually do know and understand the real history, because part of their claims and shit that they're trying to boast about and talk down to us about is the fact that they are very educated, like you said. A lot of them are PhDs, and you know, they got all these degrees, and that's what they bragging about. You know, y'all niggas is ex-cons and high school dropouts, and y'all mad because we got all the PhDs and blah, 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 blah. First of all, let me just say that you can wipe your ass with that degree that you're talking about that you got.
Period.
That shit is not as meaningful to us as y'all make it out to be. Right now, I'm not talking down on education. If you went and got yourself an education and it's working for you, shout out to you. Congratulations. I think my daughter might be still in here listening. She got plans on going off to further her education after high school and getting herself a degree and all of that. And I definitely encourage that. You know what I'm saying? But part of that educational process, and this is the problem, it's really an indoctrination. Y'all are not getting the correct information. Y'all are being indoctrinated with white supremacy, and y'all are looking at us through the lens of the white supremacists because of your education, because of your degree. What's up, baby girl? Oh, yeah. He just don't want to go to bed. Hey, close the door, please. Really?
I think they know. Yes, they're indoctrinated. I still think they know. I ain't giving them no passes. I just can't. I think they know. Yes, there's a bit of indoctrination, but we were too.
See, but this is the thing. This is the thing. Because I hear people saying this too. That was one of the other narratives that I wanted to kind of debunk as well. One of the narratives is that this is on both sides, and we all have been brainwashed by the white supremacists to go against each other. Because there was a I forgot who this guy was, but I think he used to work for the Carter administration or one of the presidents in the late 70s, early 80s. One of the advisors to the president was a dude named Zbigniew Brzezinski, if I'm pronouncing his name right. And he had this doctrine which was about keeping Black Americans and continental Africans separated. You know what I'm saying? He was an advisor to the president, and he came up with this strategy to keep the Africans divided from foundational Black Americans and to make sure that we never get on the same page. But the thing about it is, it never worked on us.
Right.
This is not a two-way street. Foundational Black Americans have always looked at y'all as brothers and sisters. If you look at the hip hop movement, we was the ones screaming "Free South Africa," wearing African medallions. You know what I'm saying? And like I said earlier, changing our names. You know what I'm saying? Making songs dedicated to y'all. Free Nelson Mandela. You know what I'm saying? All of this shit was coming from, that was the energy that we was giving out into the world. So the program that they was trying to run, it didn't work on us, but apparently it worked on y'all because they got y'all looking at us funny style. But we always looked at Africa as the motherland.
Yep.
I got Africa tattooed on my skin.
Me too. Me too, y'all. I'm FBA.
You know what I'm saying?
Both sides. Me too.
Oh, I got the US right here. This comes from Anthony Browder's book. And speaking of Anthony Browder, foundational Black American, doing the work in Africa right now, excavating one of the oldest tombs in Egypt, and not just excavating it, but restoring it. The tomb of I forgot the name. I ain't gonna misquote the name of the pharaoh, but right now, foundational Black American digging up African history, uncovering African history that y'all don't even know. That none of y'all is doing that work up. We're the ones that upheld Sheikh Anta Diop, an African scholar. You know what I'm saying? Dr. Ben, another African scholar. All of the African scholars who were bringing real history and actual facts and telling us who we really are. Foundational Black Americans are the ones who exalted them and kept their work alive.
Right.
And their work is the foundation that we all stand on. All of us that are out here doing this work. So all of that was coming from both sides, and the white supremacists are playing us one against the other. No. That shit is only coming from y'all side. We ain't on that bullshit. Y'all trying to project us defining ourselves as a unique ethnic group. Y'all trying to project that as us being anti-African or anti-Caribbean or something like that. That's not what it is.
Never has been. And that part, I believe that they know. I think that they're deflecting because they haven't owned up to their part. You know, they had a part to play. They had a role to play in it, and they didn't. They dropped the ball.
Yeah. And that's another reason why, you know, I disagree with you a little bit on when you say you ain't giving them no pass. They know.
I just can't. I'm not.
Even Anthony Browder, who, like I said, he's in Africa 2-3 times every year.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I've heard him say, I've heard Professor James Smalls, who does a lot of work in Africa.
I just sent you a video from him too, if you want to tie it in.
Okay, I'll pull it up. But I've heard both of them say that we over here, we know more African history than the continental Africans. Okay. We're the ones that have been digging up this ancient history and doing the work.
Okay, so, and that may be true a long time ago, but right now, you know what I'm saying? Like, that cannot be true right now, the last 15 years, I'll give them 10. Come on. No.
How could you know the things that we know and still be a coon?
Right.
That's kind of I don't know
Yeah,
about
I'm
that.
sorry. I just can't. I don't know. I just have a hard time believing, especially maybe the ones that's maybe, you know, 30 and between the ages of maybe, 25 to 35, right? I just don't feel like they don't know.
It's 2 videos.
I sent you two. One is actually from Phil Valentine talking about it, as well as Professor James Moore.
All right, cool. I'm pulling both of them up right now. Pulling both of them up right now.
Yeah. So I just have a hard time believing that. I think about everything our ancestors built with no education, and even after slavery, after built up, Black Wall Street, right? Unfortunately, the white supremacists came and destroyed it, but we still built up. We still built up. Y'all mean to tell me y'all didn't learn nothing from foundational Black Americans? Y'all didn't study that history? We have 2 survivors that are still alive today. Y'all didn't learn nothing. I will not give them a pass that they don't know history. Nope.
Let's see what Reverend Phil's talking about.
I'm sick and tired of seeing another blonde ass female telling me how beautiful she is and the gorgeous, and then the evil one is white, but she got black hair. Look at the mindset that you're looking at. And this is who you are. This is who they keep looking for. Every time they look for their spirituality, they find this fucking face. And you still don't get it. And in your churches, you got some straw-haired motherfucker. Wake up. Because what I'm doing right now is showing you that these are the people that gave you the highest sciences that they're now taking and claiming for themselves. Next, just want you to see how beautiful you are. Look at that face. That got to be white.
And by the way, family, for those of y'all that don't know, I know a lot of y'all here, this is Intelligent Black Society over here, so I know most of y'all do know. But these faces that y'all looking at, these statues that y'all looking at, these were all found in the Americas.
Right. These are all Aboriginal people.
These are all found in the Americas.
Yep.
This is the reason why this is part of what makes us unique, family. The majority of us in the US were already here. Only 5% of the Africans that were brought across the transatlantic slave trade were actually brought to the US. The majority of them ended up in the Caribbean, in South America, Brazil, and all of that shit. Only, not even 5%, I think it was like 3% of the slaves that were stolen from Africa ended up in the US. The majority of us was already here. They just reclassified us, family.
Right.
We the original people everywhere on the planet.
Oh, there's no doubt now. Isn't it amazing how they got all of our stuff in their museums, and we ain't got a museum for nothing. He's walking in.
And speaking of that, let me say this too. It's one brother that me and him be debating a lot. He's Nigerian. He's married to a foundational Black American woman. But again, he's one of those brothers that's psychologically colonized. You know what I'm saying? He went, I think it was last year, maybe the year before, he went to the UK and he visited the Smithsonian. And he grew up, he was born in Nigeria. He migrated over here when he was younger, whatever the case may be. But, he's a proud Nigerian. He always, talking about his history and his heritage and all of that stuff. He even brought me back this little Benin figurine right here from Nigeria. Can y'all see? Let me see.
Yeah. I can see it.
Hold on. He brought me this from Nigeria. you know what I'm saying, as a souvenir. But he went to the Smithsonian in the UK a year or so ago, and he was posting on Instagram about how he was so glad that the Europeans preserved all of this African history in their museums.
He said preserve, not stole.
Not stole. It was me. It was me and another African brother who lives in the UK who was checking him in the comment section. Like, nigga, you sound crazy. Like, you sound crazy. They done invaded your country and stole all of this shit. You talking about you happy that they preserved it? And his whole argument was that if it was left to the Africans, it would be in shambles. It would have never been preserved.
See,
you know what I'm saying? And you know, he cool with me. I'm cool with him, but that's just on an individual level.
Right.
We can't do nothing with him. We can't do nothing with that type of mentality. You know what I'm saying? When it comes to you know, our justice claim and what we're trying to do as a group,
yeah,
I'm cool with him.
Yeah.
But I'm letting y'all know right now, this dude is off code. This dude is off code. He ain't no good for us. You know what I'm saying? And he cool. Like I said, he married to a foundational Black American woman, and he admits that his family had a problem with it when they first got together. He admits it. His parents, his grandparents, everybody was like, "Oh no, you marrying that Kata and all of that shit." You know what I mean? But he came here at a young age. He grew up around us. He don't see it the exact way as his parents see it, meaning he doesn't have that anti-foundational Black American hate in his blood, but he still has the colonized mind. You know what I'm saying? He still look at whiteness as superior. You know what I'm saying? Talking about you happy that they got your stuff in their museums because Black people would have just let it go to ruins.
Sad. Listen, I have some West Indian friends, and this is literally way before my awakening, as I call it. And when I think back, hindsight is 2020, I was being very disrespected. And because they had Black skin, right? And because we shoot on each other, you know what I'm saying? I'm thinking of it like that at the time. But again, when you think about it later, you're like, wait a minute, these were literally shots at my people. You know, she made it very clear, you know, that, you know, she don't date Black guys. Like, I'll come, but I ain't about to be with them. I only date whites or Hispanics. You know, she will always say, align yourself with white people because that's where the resources are, the promotions, you know, for your career, all this stuff. But when it came to Black people, actually, when she came to my house, you know, for the first time, she was looking around like, wow, it's really clean. And like, what was it supposed to be? Like, literally, like, you know, little comments, and you're different. And when I first got here, I didn't have any Black friends. You know, they didn't like me. They would pick on me all the time. And I'm sitting here like, either you was
Where's she from?
Trinidad.
Where's she from? Trinidad. I ain't gonna pull up no pictures of them slums. But I went to visit. just know, cleanliness is part of our culture as foundational Black Americans. Period. Cleanliness has always been a part of our culture. I don't care how poor we was, how poor we is, you know, how, you know, be clean. The projects don't look like them slums in some of these other places. No. Okay. That's why when they come over here, they say, oh, this what y'all call poor? This ain't shit. Right. This what y'all call this what y'all call oppressed? But they looking at the projects like, you know, it's a 5-star resort. Right. Compared to where they came from. And not that her people, by the way, live like that. Like, we stayed at her family's house, you know, they were cool. It was the mentality, you know, definitely off code. Her mom would say nigga, but with the hard R, you know, as if, you know, she wasn't one of us. You know, they hair nappy AF, you know what I'm saying, but talk about people with kinkier hair and stuff like that. Like, it was, again, hindsight is 2020. Like, right now, if something like that was said right now, even by them, like, I would swing, like 1,000%. Like, I'll, you know, give maybe 3 passes before my the Black hand side will pop somebody in the mouth. Mama too. Let me see. Where we at? Where we at? All right. We gonna keep going because this is important, man. We're gonna keep going. Appreciate y'all hanging out with us, man. Hit the like button, share this out on your social media platforms. Please subscribe to the channel and click the notification bell so you can be reminded when we go live with new episodes. All right, let the Reverend keep building.
Down here, and they got us in museums. Nothing. You are the Tomoankan peoples. You claim their heritage. I don't care what they say. Now, if you look at this, this is a helmet, supposedly, of one flying a specific machine. That the piece that you see is actually a microphone. Oh, we getting ready to get heavy now. Understanding and understanding that this is where you came from. Understand and understand that you had civilizations beyond what it is that they could ever hope to create. Oh, it looks pretty good. The skyscrapers look all fair, but you know what? A little shake on the ground and the whole goddamn thing comes out.
Right. Hold on a second, man. Escape that. Where's the other one at? Go to the other one.
Oh,
Professor Smalls.
There he is.
Professor Smalls.
We allow people to have us deny our identity as African Americans, while other Africans come from other places and try to assume that identity for economic reasons and political reasons, and yet do not ally themselves with the African American in most instances. That those immigrant African community tend to ally themselves with the European American, not understanding what the historical relationship between the African American and the European American is, or the war, the cultural war and the spiritual war and the economic war and the political war that still exists between those two communities. So when you're an African from another place and you come and say, well, I can't get caught up in that, I'm here to make money, then you ally yourself with someone I'm at war with and wonder why I treat you a certain way. So you need to understand what you have just done. Besides disrespecting me in my country, something I would never do to you in your country. I would not go to Senegal and choose the side of the French against you. I would not come to Jamaica and choose the side of the Brits against you. So why would you come to America and choose the side of the white American for whatever reason, economic, political, cultural, or whatever, against me and my interests, and then tell me I'm unwelcoming to you? I welcome my friends and my brothers and sisters. I do not welcome my enemies, whether they look like me or not. Let's get that clear up front. And then let's look at some of the episodes in the epic history.
Right. That's Professor James Small. Shout out to Professor James Small.
Right. There's no documented history of us going to their country to undermine them in any way.
Yo, Jackson. So he got coon genetics. They can activate any time from that junk DNA.
Yeah.
Yeah. We can't do nothing with that. You can't deal with that. And so that's really the bottom line of the whole conversation, family. A lot of people who are trying to change the narrative to make it something else, they're being intentionally deceitful. You know what I'm saying? They know what it is. They understand exactly what we're saying at this point, even if they didn't in the beginning, because there were a few people that I heard speak in some of the Twitter spaces who were saying, yo, you know what? When I first heard what y'all was saying, I got offended. I've been listening over the last couple of days. I understand where y'all coming from. Y'all are right. Y'all deserve everything that y'all trying to get. We respect what y'all trying to do. Shout out to those people, you know what I'm saying, who had an open mind to listen and be corrected and change their mind.
Right.
Everybody else at this point, they're being intentionally deceitful.
Yeah, willfully.
Yeah. Yeah, y'all know what it is. Y'all understand exactly what it is we trying to say, and y'all just projecting y'all bullshit because y'all are the definition of tethers. Y'all are the true definition of tethers.
And I'm gonna say this. I ain't gonna say any names, but there were several tethers, plural, in those spaces pretending to be foundational Black Americans.
Man,
So this is something that we, as foundational Black Americans, as freedmen or whatever you want to, go by, right? We're going to have to be very, very careful with that, because these people are in these spaces to collect intel, right? And be friends with you, because they're like, yeah, if someone in your state, link up with them, blah blah blah. You know what I'm saying? So you giving these people kind of intel, yeah, we're about to do this, this is our priority, so they can figure out a way to counter it, right? So we have to be very, very careful with giving intel to certain people just because they look like us.
Right. And so, yeah, like you said, we ain't gonna say no names right now at this
Right
point.
now.
But some of the people that have been holding these spaces, claiming to be foundational Black Americans, speaking our language, are under investigation at this point.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And this is something that we have to be on point with as a family, as a community. This is something that we have to be on point with. We can't just be so quick when we hear somebody talking like us. Everybody has to be vetted. That includes us.
Yeah.
That includes me. That includes
Yes,
Sincere Love the Godcast. Everybody has to be vetted to make sure you are who you say that you are.
Right.
And that you about what you say that you about.
Even if you're not FBA, right? I still need to check your paperwork. You know what I'm saying? The paperwork got to be checked. I can't go like, at what point did you have a change of heart? Because we can dig back, and see some off code information. So when did you have a change of heart? You know what I'm saying? So yeah, again, checking paperwork from everybody, FBA and non-FBA. Like, we need to know your track record when it comes to being on code.
Right. Absolutely, man. And Cointelpro ain't dead. Cointelpro ain't never died. You know what I'm saying? They always got tares among the wheat.
Yep.
And so as we are defining ourselves as a unique ethnic group, we have to make sure that we are also refining ourselves and separating the wheat from the chaff among us. You know what I'm saying? We can't allow any and everybody to be among us. We can't allow any and everybody to speak for us. You know what I'm saying? Everybody's track record has to be vetted. Who goes there? Who goes there? Right. Who sent you?
No. It also becomes a hustle. You know what I'm saying? It becomes a hustle stuff, and which is what I'm seeing. And it's not about nobody, anyone not making money, whatever. But I'm thinking, to me, if you're not FBA, right, and you're over here, pushing reparations and stuff like that, instead of you trying to get money, we have several candidates that we're trying to, get behind monetarily, as well as, volunteering, voting for, etc. Why aren't you directing people, your people specifically, to put their money on those people's campaigns? That's how you show me you're on code, not trying to charge people, to talk on your space.
Right.
Direct those people, to put their money on these campaigns. That's how you can show me as a non-FBA that you're on code, because you understand the people that are speaking our language, who have, campaigns and are running for these offices. Show me you're on code like that. What am I giving you some money for?
Right. So they are the great snoopers. That's a fact.
Right. If you got a product and it's fly and I want to buy it, you know what I'm saying? Link that in there. We're all right with that. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? But charging people to talk on a Twitter space or whatever versus, telling them, show that you're on code, what I'm saying, by supporting such and such as campaign, donate. I would respect that.
And we've been on here for a little while, y'all, but I'm gonna drop the link in the chat. If anybody would like to come on real quick, you can't be long-winded because we've been on here too long already.
2 minutes. 1 to 2 minutes.
If you want to add anything, I just dropped the link inside the chat. If you're watching this on YouTube or if you're watching this on Facebook, the link is inside the chat. Just click on that link if you would like to come on and add anything, or just make a brief comment about the broadcast here tonight.
Don't be shy.
As a matter of fact, if you want to get on, hit the Cash App. Now I'm just playing.
Right, exactly. Right. I'm just saying.
But y'all can hit the Cash App though, you know what I'm saying? If you
Yeah,
appreciate the
don't be shy.
Godcast, and you find value in our content, you can show your support, you know what I'm saying? $ sincere love with the number 7, $ nice girl without the L or the number 1. You know what I
Right.
mean? We definitely appreciate that.
And of course, don't forget to
Definitely.
like and share the broadcast on your social media.
All right. Here go my brother Ricardo, man.
Hey,
My
Ricardo.
brother Ricardo. I think this is my brother.
I've been driving, listening. Peace, God, peace, man.
Peace.
I love it. I love it. I love it, man. You know, I just love all the facts that y'all pushing out there. You know, to go back to what you were saying, like even the Grand Canyon. You know, certain places you can't go because there's pyramids down there. You feel me? There's artifacts showing that we was here long way before then. You know, and you make valid points, man. You make valid points. At first, I was coming in like, yo, you know, nah, it's not like that. But like you said, once you hear the whole facts, it makes sense. It makes total sense. You know what I'm saying? Me coming from New York, also, you already know we have like island people all around us, and you know, just being the first generation born here as a Haitian American, you know, I seen where my family came to this country and how things were different. And you are right, there are certain ones that make it a little harder for the rest of us. You feel what I'm saying? So you do have a valid point.
Yes,
And
sir.
I just think we need to speak on this more and more because the youth don't know what's going on. And I feel like another
Right.
thing, the Black History Month, it's like a slap in the face because all they just talk about is how we were slaves. They just blast us the whole month of February, showing us how we was in chains and stuff like that. But they're
Yeah.
not showing us when we was kings and queens. You know what I'm saying? Or they just showing us we were slaves. You know what I'm saying? So I think we definitely need to definitely put this out there more and more, man. I love what you're doing. You know, I'm behind it. I'm supporting it all the way to the top,
Yes,
man.
sir. Yes, sir. Appreciate you, brother.
Thank you,
Appreciate you, man.
Ricardo.
All right,
Shout out,
peace.
shout out to the Zoe. Shout out to the Zoe Ricardo, man.
Yeah,
Appreciate
man.
that feedback. Word
Yeah,
up.
you know, I always tell people it's not, don't just rely on the school system, to miseducate your children. It's up to us. We gotta spend time with our kids anyway. We've gotten so far, away from traditions. My mom said that when she was young, the family always ate together. Period. Point blank. The new generation, and I'm guilty of it too. My son in his room, I'm in my, what I'm saying? Like, we got to get back to those traditions, eat together as a family, because those are times where those conversations can be had. What I'm saying? We understand the kids got, activities, school, after school jobs, you work, but we still have to make sure that we're sitting at the tables again as a family so that we're keeping our children up on what's on the world, right? And history, because they're not going to teach certain things in school. And was it that Kanye that said we're no longer gonna call it Black History Month, but we're gonna call it Black Future Month or something like that? He's trying to change that narrative, which is kind of going with what Ricardo just said.
Oh, okay. If you want to prevent this person from, okay, no, okay, that's good. I think I did it right. Hopefully, I didn't just ban Ricardo. If I banned you, that I didn't mean to do that.
Right.
I didn't mean to do that. I think I did it right. But yeah,
Right.
I
What you
agree.
do?
No, but I was
Can
just
you-
trying to remove him from the backstage. But yeah, man, we about to wind this thing down, family. If anybody else wants to add a quick comment, I'll drop the link one more time. If
Come on
anybody
in.
else
Come
wants
on
to
in.
add a
Let's talk about it.
quick content, I don't think we got any off code diasporans in the building. You know what I'm saying? I ain't going front. I was kind of hoping we would get at least a few that wanted to be contrary,
Me
so that
too.
because I know there's some things that we didn't even think to touch on. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? Sometimes you need that friction. You know what I'm saying, to really
Right.
be able to bring truth to power. And so I was kind of hoping we would get one of these, not really a troll though, but somebody who
Yeah,
was sincerely
trying
in
to
opposition
understand.
of what we're saying. You know what I'm saying? So that we could, you could bring the best out of me that way. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because when we amongst family here, we try to cover as much ground as possible, but I can't think of everything. You know what I'm saying? There was a lot
Well,
going
we
on.
got some new faces in here. I see some new names, so it's coming on.
Absolutely. Appreciate y'all, man. This is your first time here. Welcome to Sincere Love the Godcast. Again, make sure you are subscribed to the channel. Click the notification bell so you can be reminded when we go live with new content. We do this each and every week on Sundays at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 4 p.m. Pacific Time, where we normally cover current events and other important topics pertaining to what's going on in the Black community. And on Wednesdays and Thursdays, we have our Black Business Showcase, where we bring on business owners and entrepreneurs from all different industries to talk about their story and their journey into entrepreneurship, and just to drop general business game that we all could learn from. We got some great episodes coming up for y'all this Wednesday and Thursday as well, so make sure y'all stay tuned for that.
Absolutely. We actually have Nyan Pharmacy on this Wednesday. Nyan Pharmacy on this Wednesday. So she's going to be talking about disparities in healthcare.
Shout out to our B1 sister. I think she was in the chat a little bit earlier.
Yeah, so she'll be on this Wednesday. So make sure you guys tune in. Get this game. We've been having some great guests dropping so much information that's needed for us. So make sure you guys tune in.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's nation building time, family. Muddy Boy, Miami. Where your family from? See you down there in Miami. I know we got a lot of Zoes down there. We got a lot of Bahamians down there. Where your family from, Muddy Boy, Miami? A diet is important if you're in the mindset, but don't deprive your body from what it truly needs and wants. Okay.
Mm-hmm. We can agree with that for sure. Georgia.
Appreciate you, Crown 808. Okay. Georgia. So y'all foundational Black Americans. Okay. Shout out to y'all. All right, family. That does it for today's episode of Sincere Love the Godcast. Truly appreciate y'all joining us tonight.
Yeah.
For those of y'all that don't know, I am the God Sincere Love. This is my co-host, Nicety Girl. Make sure that you are following her at Nicety Girl with the number 1 on Instagram and without the number 1 on all other social media platforms. Make sure that you guys are following me as well. I'm at Sincere Love the God on all social media platforms. Make sure y'all go check out my music. I don't even be plugging my music like that on here. By the way, I am one of the dopest MCs on the planet. Go check out some of my music on your favorite streaming platform. Just type in Sincere Love the God. Y'all can check out some of the music. Me and my brother DJ RPB. Shout out to RP, man. He been sending me beats like crazy. I just haven't been in the headspace to really sit down and write, but we working on some new stuff for y'all as well. So make sure y'all go check out some of the music as well, family. And yeah, like we always tell y'all, we are not the master teachers. We are only the master students and signal boosters for the voices of the new Black media. Appreciate y'all tapping in tonight. See y'all in a couple of days.
See y'all on Wednesday as we get into Nyan Pharmacy's Black business. Make sure you guys tap in, pay attention to the social media. Of course, we'll be putting all the links for the show on all social media platforms. Make sure you are following us on all our social media platforms. Thank you guys for tapping in tonight, and we will see you on Wednesday. Peace.
Peace.
Do for self or suffer the consequences. The wisdom of Elijah's inside of the conscience.